Discover how a poor girl's unexpected blind date with a single dad CEO changed her life forever. Maria stood in front of her bathroom mirror, her heart racing like a jackrabbit. There she was, 22 years old, a waitress grinding her way through 2 jobs, staring back at a girl who sometimes felt more like a ghost passing through her own life. She splashed cold water on her face, hoping it would wash away the ugly doubts swirling in her mind. Tonight, she was going on a blind date with Jake, the CEO who was rumored to be as handsome as he was affluent. A part of her felt exhilarated, while the other part screamed that she was outclassed, maybe even out of her league. Wrapping her fingers around the simple silver locket that held pictures of her mother and siblings, she took a deep breath. They relied on her. They always had. The thought alone sent a rush of warmth through her. And just maybe, beyond all that worry, there could be a glimmer of hope. Hope was what kept her going, after all. She smiled, steadied her gaze, and put her head high. At the coffee shop where she worked, the bustle of the suburban town wrapped around her like a thick fog. The aroma of roasted beans, the rush of morning chatter, this was her anthem. She poured coffee and served pastries, all while sending quick texts to keep her siblings on track after school. Each time her phone buzzed, her chest tightened, knowing she was carrying the weight of their small household on her shoulders. Meanwhile, across town, Jake sat in his sleek office, the sunlight bouncing off his polished desk. He was a single dad, a title more burdensome than any merger or tech pitch. He strived to balance his role as a CEO with being present for his daughter. She needed him just as much as his company did, and he wrestled with the pressure every day. He wondered what it was like to worry about making rent instead of quarterly profits. But sometimes, life had a funny way of throwing surprises his way, like the idea of a blind date to help him regain a little joy. Later that evening, they met at a cozy bistro, and the air crackled with an unexpected electricity. Their conversation flowed easily over candlelight, a rich blend of laughter, shared values, and an understanding of the dedication to family. Maria's spirit lit up the dim room, captivating Jake in ways he didn't expect. For the first time in a while, he felt alive. But as days turned into weeks, the clarity of their stark differences began to loom like storm clouds. She remembered nights spent counting pennies, while he was still searching for the right private school for his daughter. The growing affection planted a seed of fear in her heart. What if he couldn't understand her struggles? What if she was just a passing moment in his diamond-studded life? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. One night, overwhelmed by a growing sense of injustice, Maria stumbled upon a flyer about a community project aimed at taming economic inequality in her town. Fuel-filled determination ignited within her, and she decided to lead a fundraising campaign. This was her chance to make a real difference, to show her family's struggle wasn't just a personal burden but a shared battle. As the campaign picked up momentum, Maria faced obstacles that would make anyone falter. Shelling out energy, she fought through fatigue, whispering mantras of belief. She could do this. Little did she know Jake watched from afar, mesmerized by Maria's resolve. In that moment, as he battled his own constraints of privilege and genuine support, a deeper connection was forming, one that could either bridge their worlds or shatter it completely. Just as everything seemed to take shape, Maria's phone buzzed with a call that could upend everything they'd built together. What would it reveal? Could their growing bond withstand this shock? And would her dream of creating change come crumbling down? Maria stared at her phone, that familiar knot tightening in her stomach as she swiped to answer. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. The voice on the other end was her landlord, his tone serious enough to chill her bones. "Maria, I need to talk to you about the rent. It's late again." Her heart sank. "I know. I'm just waiting for my tips from the weekend rush. I can get it to you by next week, I promise. She felt desperation creeping into her voice, the same pleading tone she used to comfort her siblings. Maria, you've said that before. I need to see some effort, or we'll have to discuss options. His words hung heavy in the air, gnawing at her sense of stability. As the call ended, she sat down hard on the edge of her bed, vision blurring. Could she truly lose the little haven they had? Her siblings depended on her, and she felt crushing guilt and helplessness pressing down like a heavy weight. Over the next few days, she threw herself into the fundraising campaign. Every flyer she printed, every email she wrote, became a mantra against her fears. At the bistro, the chatter and clinking of cups faded into a background hum as her mind buzzed with ideas. Yet, with each breakthrough, there was always that gnawing anxiety reminding her of her uncertainty with Jake. There was a spark between them, but how could she let him further into her life if everything felt like quicksand? Meanwhile, Jake had been following her campaign's progress on social media, a series of uplifting clips showcasing Maria speaking passionately to crowds, the community rallying around a common cause. He felt captivated by her drive, though he could sense her struggle beneath the surface. He decided to surprise her one Sunday at the rally, hoping to show support in the most discreet way. As Maria stood on stage, addressing the crowd with her fiery determination, she spotted Jake off to the side, leaning against a lamppost. A rush of warmth flooded her, pushing away the shadows of doubt. His presence radiated reassurance, a lifeline anchoring her when everything felt tumultuous. After the rally, she made her way through the bustling crowd, her heart racing. "Jake! You made it!" She smiled, relief washing over her as she approached him. Jake shrugged with an easy grin. "Couldn't he miss it? You were amazing up there." He looked proud, but in his eyes she detected an unspoken question, a delicate curiosity about her world that worried her. "Thanks, but it's not just me. This community is incredible," she replied, turning her gaze away, not wanting him to notice the flicker of self-doubt in her eyes. "Still, you inspire them," he insisted, stepping closer as if sensing her unease. "What's next? What can I do to help?" Her mind raced with possibilities. The precautionary wall she built was quick to reassemble. "I don't want to burden you or overstep." "Maria," he said earnest, "you won't? Just let me know how I can pitch in. I want to be here for you." Those words ignited hope, but also fear. This support, so different from what she was used to, made her question everything she thought she knew. Could she let him get closer without revealing the cracks in her own foundation? Suddenly, the phone buzzed again, a formal notification showing yet another missed payment last month. She blinked away, tears, the harsh reality of her situation crashing down once again. The invisible weight of their worlds felt heavier than ever, and the delicate thread tethering them seemed ready to snap. "Jake, I really have to go." She turned, her voice shaking slightly. "I'll see you soon, okay?" As she hurried away, urgency coursed through her veins. If the campaign didn't succeed soon, everything could unravel. Lost in her thoughts, she almost didn't notice Jake's concerned gaze glued to her, the unasked questions hanging between them like a veil. In that moment, Maria was caught in a storm, the path forward shrouded in uncertainty. Could she accept his help without feeling like a charity case? Or would the truth push them apart, spiraling her efforts into irreversible chaos? And as she stepped away, the echo of his voice still ringing in her ears, one thing became clear: whatever lay ahead, she would face it alone if she had to. At least until the next call interrupted everything. Maria sat on the edge of her bed, her phone still buzzing softly in her hand. The notification from her landlord felt like a personal accusation, a reminder of the struggles she fought daily. Closing her eyes and taking a deep breath, she pictured her siblings laughing, their innocence brimming with dreams. It was for them that she put on a brave face, channeling every ounce of her determination into this campaign. Yet doubt clawed at her. The flicker of Jake's interest left her tangled in a web of what-ifs. What if he knew? What if it all fell apart? She shook her head, trying to banish those thoughts. A few days later, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, Maria found herself at another planning meeting for the fundraiser. The small community center buzzed with the backs and forths of passionate voices. She loved seeing everyone come together, yet a palpable tension filled the air, feeding her anxiety. "Okay, team, we need to really amp up our outreach this week," she said, standing at the head of the table. Her voice wavered as she glanced around, searching for support in the faces of her friends and neighbors. "Every dollar counts, and I believe we can reach the goal if we all pitch in. Maria, you've got this. Let us brainstorm some ideas," chimed in Lisa, her best friend since childhood. The warmth of her encouragement was a balm, but there was still a pit in Maria's stomach. As they tossed around ideas, Jake slipped in through the door, his presence a beacon in the chaotic room. Maria's heart performed a small leap. He wore his usual casual attire, yet somehow there was an air of confidence around him that made her want to lean closer and hear every word he had to say. "Mind if I join?" Jake asked, his eyes scanning the group before landing on her. "Of course. We could use the extra brainpower," Maria responded, refusing to let herself feel nervous. As the meeting went on, Jake became increasingly engaged, throwing in suggestions and ideas that sparked laughter and excitement among the group. She watched him, admiring how naturally he fell into the rhythm of their passionate conversation. But amidst the camaraderie, Maria couldn't shake the worry gnawing at her insides. When the meeting wrapped up, she found herself lingering at the back, trying to gather her thoughts while others chatted animatedly about the event. "Hey," Jake approached her, leaning against the wall, his expression sincere. "You okay? You've seemed a bit overwhelmed today." Her breath hitched. "It's just a lot. I don't want to let anyone down," she admitted, her gaze dropping to the floor. "Maria, you're doing incredible things. You have the community behind you, and I'm here too. Let's figure out how I can help," he said, the warmth in his voice cutting through her reservations. She looked up, meeting his gaze, and for the first time, she felt the stirrings of hope. But hope came with a price. What if he truly understood her struggles? What if he knew about her missed rent and the pressure she was under? "Jake," she started, but the words tangled in her throat. He shifted closer, concern etched on his face, making her heart race. "You can trust me. You don't need to carry everything alone." A ripple of emotions crashed through her, forcing her to confront her fears head-on. Could she open up? Could she let him in? Before she was ready to answer, the door creaked open, drawing their attention. Lisa and a few others came bustling back in, eager and ready to share more ideas, their laughter cutting through the moment. "Let us get planning. We have a lot to do," Lisa announced, her cheerful spirit lifting the air around them. Maria turned to Jake, her heart pounding. His eyes held hers, an unspoken promise passing between them, igniting that spark she had felt before. What lay ahead felt uncertain, but for the first time, it also felt full of possibility. And as the evening unfolded, Maria realized she may not have to face this storm alone after all. But just then, the phone buzzed again, a reminder that challenges never ceased, and the next call could change everything once more. The next morning, the sun streamed through Maria's window, casting a warm glow over her room. The buzz from her phone had kicked her back into reality, a stark reminder of her financial struggles. She shuffled to the kitchen, the familiar smell of coffee greeting her. As she poured a cup, her mind wandered back to Jake's words. He believed in her, but how could she let him see the real her, the one drowning in debts and disappointments? The day progressed slowly. Maria spent hours at her desk, crafting social media posts for the fundraiser, trying to shake off the nagging doubts lingering in her head. Despite the upbeat messages she was sending out, her heart felt heavy. Later that afternoon, feeling restless, she decided to take a walk. She strolled through the neighborhood, watching children play in the park, their laughter a soundtrack to a life she wanted for her own siblings. As she walked past the bakery, the warm, sweet scents beckoned her inside. She pushed through the door, mesmerized by the display of pastries. A small bite of joy in an otherwise tangled life. "Maria! It's been a while," a voice chirped, breaking her reverie. She turned to see Mrs. Thompson, an elderly woman who had always showered Maria with kindness. "Hi, Mrs. Thompson. How are you?" she replied, forcing a smile, hoping to mask her worries. "Oh, you know me. Just keeping busy," Mrs. Thompson said with a wink, then her expression turned serious. "But enough about me. I heard about the fundraiser. You're doing great work for our community." Maria felt a flush of warmth wash over her. "Thank you. I just want to help. Keep at it, dear. And remember, you have people who care about you. Lean on us if you need to." The simple truth of Mrs. Thompson's words hit Maria hard, but the lump in her throat reminded her of her self-imposed isolation. She nodded, trying to mask the emotions that threatened to overflow. After a few more minutes of small talk, Maria grabbed a couple of pastries and headed back home, her mind racing with thoughts of Jake again. They had shared a moment, one that lingered like a sweet melody, but what if that connection faded in the wake of reality? The ensuing days passed gradually. With each community meeting, the pressure mounted. No matter how many ideas they brainstormed, the fear of failure loomed above her like a storm cloud. The night before the big event, Maria sat on her bed exhausted, staring at her phone, a text from Jake appearing on the screen. "Are you ready for tomorrow? I'll be there. Let's make it unforgettable." Unforgettable. The words sparked something inside her. Maybe she had to stop letting fear dictate her life. That night, she tossed and turned, mulling over her options, but faced with the weight of her truth, her heart raced. At the fundraiser, everything seemed to fall into place. The center was filled with energy, laughter, and people from the community rallying for a common cause. Maria's heart swelled as she watched the support pour in, but still, doubts simmered beneath the surface. Then, as the evening wore on, Jake found her again, his eyes bright with enthusiasm. "You've done an amazing job, Maria. You should be proud." The words lit up her heart, but vulnerability danced on the edges of her thoughts. She felt a pull between wanting to share her struggles and the fear of losing the little spark of hope she had found. "Thanks, Jake. It really means a lot," she said, glancing down at the crowd. As they exchanged smiles, she could sense the expectations ballooning around her. A strange mix of excitement and anxiety overtook her. Just when she felt ready to open up, the sound of her phone chiming interrupted the moment again. It was the landlord. The message read simply, "Final notice." That single line carved through the joy, leaving her breathless. How could she face the world with this hanging over her head? She turned back to Jake, anxiety reflected in her eyes, and in that moment she realized she was at a crossroads. Would she choose honesty, or would fear continue to push her away? Behind them, the laughter continued to echo, light shining through the shadows of her worry. The next few moments could change everything. Could she truly let Jake in? She opened her mouth to speak, feeling the weight of the truth inching towards her lips. What would he think? How would he react? And as she finally prepared to let the words spill forth, the unexpected arrival of a former colleague barged in, shattering her resolve with an unmistakable urgency. What would happen next? The crowd turned as the door swung open. A tall figure stepped in, a man dressed in a sleek suit, accompanied by the unmistakable aroma of success. It was Mark, a former colleague from Maria's past job. The room hummed with surprise as he brightly announced, "What a great turnout. I just had to stop by to support this lovely initiative." Maria's heart sank. Of all the times he could have chosen to show up, it had to be now, right at this pivotal moment. Jake's smile faltered as he shifted his attention towards Mark, his eyes narrowing slightly. There was a flicker of something between them, a challenge perhaps, as the air thickened with unspoken tension. "Hey, Mark! It's been ages," Maria managed to say, her voice slightly strained, and she forced a smile, steering her thoughts away from the heavy weight that had just returned. Mark made his way towards her, arms open wide for a hug. "I see you're still inspiring the community. Great to see you in action, Maria." She accepted the hug, feeling the warmth of his presence but wanting to pull away, wanting to escape the very situation she found herself in. Jake, standing slightly off to the side, watched them with an inscrutable expression. Was it jealousy sprouting from his features, or just concern? Thank you, Mark. We're working hard on this. Her fingers fidgeted with the hem of her shirt, a nervous gesture that was becoming all too familiar. The chatter around them resumed, but Maria felt trapped in a bubble of unease. Mark had always been the charmer, effortlessly shining amidst the crowd. I didn't think I'd see you again after everything, he continued, eyes glinting. How's life treating you? She glanced at Jake, who was now scanning the room as if re-evaluating the charity event he had initially embraced so warmly. With a deep breath, Maria pushed aside Mark's probing inquiry. Busy but good, thank you, she replied with a nonchalant shrug. Busy, huh? Mark said, leaning in slightly. Well, you might want to consider some new opportunities. I've got a few leads that could really turn things around for you. She felt a surge of discomfort. So many times, Mark's offers had come too close to charity, stirring a blend of pride and resentment she hadn't wanted to confront again. Just then, Jake stepped in, his posture adjusting as he attempted to reclaim the moment. It sounds like you're doing well, Mark, he said, his tone light but firm. The community really appreciates the support. The banter swirled around them, but Maria's thoughts were elsewhere. This could be the moment to tell Jake everything. Honesty could repair the cracks her heart had developed. All she needed was a break in this strange encounter, a small pause for clarity. Mark's voice brought her back with a jolt. Why don't you join my team for a lunch meeting next week? I'll send you the details. Lunch with Mark? Could this truly be the opportunity she had been waiting for? And at what cost? The vision of a brighter future was flickering, but was she ready to step into it? She hesitated, glancing at Jake once more. His eyes spoke volumes, filled with something akin to encouragement, perhaps with an expectation of her next move. With the stakes rising around her, Maria suddenly felt the pinch of indecision. The weight of staying loyal to her past or exploring a new path pressed heavily on her shoulders. Before she could answer, the MC stepped onto the stage, announcing the live auction. Maria felt the hyper-focused eyes of the crowd shift to the front. Ladies and gentlemen, let us kick things off with our first item. The energy in the room surged, capturing everyone's attention. In that brief moment of distraction, Maria decided she had to choose. Would she lean on the safe and familiar, represented by Mark, or trust in the fragile connection forming with Jake, no matter how vulnerable it made her feel? The evening was still young, and decisions loomed ahead. As the auction began, adrenaline surged within her. Holding her breath, she took a step towards Jake, feeling the distance between them close, sensing the impending revelation was about to unfold. Could this night redefine everything for her? And as she opened her mouth to speak, ready to bridge the last hurdle into truth, another surprise announcement echoed across the hall, one that promised to alter the course of this pivotal evening. What could it be? The sudden hush fell over the crowd, practically swallowing the energy of the auction. All eyes turned toward the stage where the MC had just dropped a bombshell. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, his voice steady but charged. We have a special guest tonight who has graciously offered to donate a significant amount to our cause if we can auction off a date with him. Gasps of surprise rippled through the room, and whispers spread like wildfire. Maria felt her heart race. A date? With whom? Suddenly, curious glances swept across the attendees. Mark's face lit up with a mischievous grin, almost as if he had orchestrated this whole moment just to grab everyone's attention. I wouldn't miss this, he said, nudging Maria with his elbow, laughing lightly as the crowd buzzed with excitement. But Jake's expression shifted. His eyes darkened a fraction. This sounds like one of those ridiculous publicity stunts, he muttered, bitter disappointment lacing his voice. Maria could feel the tension between them grow, thick enough to cut with a knife. The MC continued, and ladies, it's not just any date. This generous single dad is also a CEO from a thriving tech company, ready to support our community and meet someone special. Jake turned away, clearly frustrated. Maria felt a knot in her stomach. She wanted to reach out, to comfort him, but the overwhelming chaos of voices around them made it impossible. Instead, she caught a glimpse of Mark, his eyes glimmering with a mixture of delight and challenge. As the audience started placing their bids, Maria shook her head, trying to dismiss the unease bubbling up inside her. A date wasn't the solution to her dilemmas. It was merely a shiny distraction. The tension of the evening gnawed at her, and she felt adrift, hovering between excitement and fear. "It's all just a game to these people, isn't it?" she finally murmured to Jake, her voice barely audible over the escalating bids. "A chance to impress. But what does it even mean?" Jake turned to her, vibrant emotion lighting his eyes. "You're right, Maria. But it doesn't have to be that way. You matter more than whatever game they're playing." His words struck her heart. For a moment, the noise of the world around them faded. She saw the sincerity in his gaze, a flicker of the connection they'd shared earlier in the night. This was the moment she wanted to embrace, to be honest with him about everything. But before she could take the plunge, an uproar erupted from the audience as a particularly eager bidder raised their hand. 20,000! They shouted, laughter spilling from their lips, a mix of thrill and disbelief. Maria's mind raced. Was it worth it to enter this chaotic dance of flirtation? Or did she have something more genuine she could offer? As the excitement escalated, Maria felt torn between the electric atmosphere of the auction and the intimate connection she wanted to cultivate with Jake. She couldn't help but wonder, was this auction simply a game of chance, or could it lead to something profound? Then, as if the universe were conspiring to send her a sign, the spotlight shifted away from the bustling crowd and back to the stage. "And the winner is..." A pause filled the air, heavy with anticipation. Her heart pounded in rhythm with her rapidly beating thoughts. Was she prepared for whatever whirlwind was about to take place next? And what would Jake think if she jumped into this unknown? Would this be the pivot point she needed to make a choice about her future? Wait, what if? The question hung in the air, tempting the uncharted possibilities that lay ahead. What awaited her, just a heartbeat away? As the MC's voice boomed through the hall, a thick silence cascaded over the audience. Hearts raced, eyes widened, and every breath felt electric. Maria stood at the edge of anticipation, tethered between hope and uncertainty. "And the winner of the date is..." The MC paused for dramatic effect. Maria glanced away from the stage and caught Jake's gaze, his brow furrowed yet his expression soft. She felt a warmth rise in her cheeks as he studied her, an unspoken bond flickering between them. "A staggering 35,000. The MC announced, finally revealing the mystery winner. The applause erupted, a wave of enthusiasm that swirled through the room, but for Maria, the cheers faded into a dull hum. She was more focused on what that number represented, a moment with someone utterly unknown. As the crowd surged forward, women smiling in disbelief, Maria's heart sank just a little. Could this be the fateful evening where everything shifted? She leaned in closer to Jake. "What do you think? Who could afford that?" Jake shrugged, the edges of his mouth curling slightly. "Some rich guy looking for a good time. It's all just shallow." There was an edge to his tone, but it was colored by concern, not criticism. Just then, the winner stepped onto the stage, a striking figure clad in a tailored suit. Maria squinted through the dazzling crowd, taking in the man's confident stride and easy smile. It was as if time slowed, highlighting the excitement radiating from him. Confidence exuded from him like energy bursting forth. And then, with a soft gasp, Maria realized he was looking directly at Jake. "Wait, is that?" Her voice trailed off, disbelief mingling with a strange sense of recognition. In an instant, Jake became tense beside her. "Yeah. That's Grant Morgan, CEO of Morgan Tech. He's a regular at these events." His words were clipped, laced with an emotion that Maria couldn't quite place. Was it jealousy? Disdain? She wasn't sure she wanted to know. Back on stage, Grant's smile widened as he took in the audience, his gaze sweeping across the sea of faces. The buzz of excitement crackled again as he began to address the crowd. "I'm honored to donate not just a night out but an experience worth remembering, one that also supports a worthy cause." The room erupted with applause, but at that moment, Maria felt adrift. The passion, the connection she shared with Jake, was fading into the background noise of the spectacle. She turned to him, wanting that connection back, the warmth she felt before he spoke. "What if it's more than a game?" she whispered, but he shook his head slowly, eyes cast down. "We both know how this works." The conviction in his voice cut sharply. Her insides twisted, struggling against rising emotions. The night was unraveling before her eyes, filled with lost chances and unvoiced sentiments. Was Jake right? Was it all just a game? Or could this unexpected auction draw her towards something beautiful and unknown? "Ladies and gentlemen, how about a little twist in our auction?" Grant's voice pulled her back. "There's a condition to this date. A real adventure, a chance for the winner and the lucky lady to truly connect in an authentic way." A flicker of hope ignited in Maria's chest. It didn't just end here. The date could mean something more. Yet Jake's hand slipped away from hers, breaking their gaze. The world suddenly felt distant, drowning in the exuberance of the crowd. "Wait!" Maria's voice rose above the chaos, drawing attention. Eyes turned her way, including Grant's. Their gazes locked, and an electric spark passed between them. In that moment, everything shifted. Was she ready to step forward, to redefine the choices ahead? What if this impulse led to a different kind of love entirely, or even rejection? As the anticipation in the air grew thicker, Maria took a deep breath, the weight of decision heavy on her shoulders. Would she let fear dictate her next move? Or could this be the moment that changed everything? Maria felt the eyes of everyone in the hall fixate on her, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. She didn't know if she was ready for this kind of attention. "What am I doing?" she thought, biting her lip. She could feel the warmth of Jake's rejection still hovering in the air around her, mixed with the electric buzz from the stage. Grant continued to look her way, curiosity dancing in his eyes. There was something magnetic about him, something that both thrilled and terrified her. It was a wild invitation, dangling before her a leap into the unknown. Would she take it? The mic felt heavy in Grant's hand as he leaned forward, his confidence unwavering. "Do I have a volunteer?" His voice rang clear, a velvet invitation that seemed to weave its way into Maria's heart. He didn't just want a date, he wanted to connect, and for a brief moment, the weight of her worries lifted. "Go ahead," a voice from the crowd shouted, shattering the tension. "Pick someone." Laughter followed, a ripple of encouragement that only made her feel more overwhelmed. Jake's expression shifted, his jaw tightening. "Maria, don't," he warned, eyebrows knitting together. But the look in Grant's eyes was a challenge, a possibility she couldn't resist. There was an urgency in her soul, pushing her towards something she needed to explore. The applause and laughter around her faded into the background, replaced by the sound of her heartbeat in her ears. She swallowed hard, excitement tangling with fear like vines around her thoughts. "Okay," she breathed, her voice barely audible. "I'll do it." As soon as the words left her mouth, a rush of adrenaline surged through her. It was a moment that felt surreal, like stepping into a whirlwind where hope intertwined with trepidation. Jake's face fell as he turned away. The loss of his support stung, but Maria was determined. Grant's smile brightened. "Fantastic! Let us make it unforgettable." He motioned for her to come to the stage, and she took a step forward, her legs feeling both light and heavy. When she reached the stage, laughter mingled with applause. Grant offered his hand, and she hesitated only for a fleeting moment before taking it. A current raced between them, and in that instant, the world blurred behind them. "Tell me, Maria," Grant began, his voice smooth. "What's the most adventurous thing you've ever done?" She paused, the gravity of his question sinking in. Suddenly, her everyday life felt so mundane compared to the exhilarating unknown he represented. "I haven't really done much," she admitted, vulnerability coloring her words. "Maybe I just dream about adventure instead." His expression softened. "Then let us change that, shall we?" The crowd erupted into cheers, and Maria felt her heart swell with an unreal mix of hope and anxiety. Could this be the first step toward digging deeper into herself, to truly understand who she could be? But even as excitement coursed through her veins, she couldn't shake the looming shadow of Jake's uncertainty. Was this what she truly wanted? Or was this an escape from facing her own fears? As they descended from the stage, Grant whispered something that sent her heart racing. "You've got spirit, and I admire someone who dares to reach for more." Maria couldn't help but smile, yet a sense of foreboding settled in. What if she got in too deep? What if she lost herself along the way? She looked back at Jake, only to see him retreating further into the crowd, his expression unreadable. And as the night unfolded, filled with flashes of laughter and warmth, one question gnawed at her: would her desire for adventure lead her to the life she yearned for, or would it unravel everything she had ever known? The stakes were becoming real, and now she had to figure out how to navigate the complicated emotions that lay ahead. The thrill of breaking free was intoxicating, but a part of her clung to the familiar, a strand of hesitation woven through her hopes. Where would this adventure lead her heart? Would she find herself on solid ground, or would she tumble into the unknown? The crowd's excitement swelled as Maria and Grant slipped back into the thrumming atmosphere of the hall. Laughter and cheers surrounded them. Yet the buzz felt distant, muffled by the whirlwind of thoughts swirling in Maria's head. She had stepped onto the stage, embraced by applause, but now her heart began to question that leap she had taken. "Maria, you all right?" Grant's voice cut through her haze. His expression held a mix of concern and genuine curiosity, as he guided her away from the crowd momentarily, seeking a quieter corner. "Yeah, just a bit overwhelmed," she admitted, her cheeks heating as she realized how raw her emotions felt. The adrenaline from being in the spotlight was fading, leaving behind a tangled web of exhilaration and lingering dread. "You were great up there. I really think you've got this adventurous spirit," he said, grinning. She found herself smiling back, drawn into his warmth and enthusiasm. The possibility of being someone different, someone daring, was intoxicating. "Thanks. I mean, I've always wanted to be adventurous. Just never really found the courage," she confessed, her voice faltering at the end. What was she afraid of? "So let's change that," Grant urged, leaning closer as if forging a bond between them. "How about we start with something fun? I know a great little place nearby." Her heart raced. He was inviting her to step out of her comfort zone again. Being with Grant felt exhilarating in a way that scared and thrilled her at once. A spark ignited in her thoughts. This wasn't just about adventure. It was a chance to discover who she could be. But the shadow of Jake's rejection lingered like a storm cloud, creating doubt in her mind. Before she could respond, the crowd shifted. Friends from her college days began to gather around, eager to join the conversation. They pulled her away from Grant, laughter echoing around her, yet she felt unmoored, caught between the old and the new. "Hey, Maria! Great job! I knew you had it in you," one friend exclaimed, shoving her playfully. "What's this I hear about you and Grant?" Maria opened her mouth to speak, but Grant interjected smoothly, "We're just starting a new adventure. Who wants to join us?" His effortless charm wrapped around her like a comfortable blanket. Excitement rippled through the group as they began to chatter, but inside Maria felt the familiar pang of insecurity. She sneaked a glance at Jake, who stood on the edge of the gathering, arms crossed, watching with an unreadable expression on his face. Her breath hitched. Maybe this was a mistake, she whispered to herself, half convinced of the truth, but something deep inside her rebelled. Hadn't she wanted to escape the role of being the quiet one? The hesitant wallflower? "Maria?" Grant's voice broke through her thoughts again. He had sidled up beside her, his eyes bright with anticipation. "Ready to conquer this adventure?" Yeah. I mean, sure," she replied, forcing the enthusiasm into her voice. But as the group moved toward the door, Maria's heart sank momentarily. What if this was all just a distraction? What if she risked so much just to be let down again? As they all stepped into the night, laughter intertwining with the energy of newfound friendships, in that moment, Maria felt a fragile flicker of hope. She looked back once more at Jake, but he had already turned away. The door to a new chapter swung open, and she took a step inside toward potential, toward mystery. But another question echoed in the recesses of her mind. As she stepped into this adventure, would she discover a deeper version of herself, or would she end up searching for the pieces she might lose along the way? The unknown lay ahead, waiting to unfold. Maria stood at the edge of the community center's parking lot, adrenaline still pulsing through her veins. The laughter and applause from earlier felt like echoes of a different life. She had taken a bold step onto the stage, but the reality of that leap tangled with apprehensive doubt. Grant had captivated her, drawn her in with promises of adventure and excitement. But the shimmer of his charm also felt like a shiny veneer that could shatter under pressure. She needed strength more than just a distraction. She craved connection, honesty, and warmth, yet here she was chasing a fleeting thrill while leaving behind the warmth she had found in Jake. As she joined the throng heading toward the nearby cafe with Grant and her friends, she felt torn between two paths. Each step the group took felt heavier than the last. The buzz of chatter faded as she briefly glanced back at the community center. Jake was there, standing alone, a shadow in the evening light. His gaze didn't waver, and a pang of longing pierced deep within her chest. "Hey, we're heading inside," one of her friends called, breaking the invisible thread pulling her back. "Right. Coming," she replied with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. The noise of the cafe enveloped them, a cacophony of laughter and clinking glasses setting a backdrop to the charged atmosphere surrounding Maria and Grant. As they settled into a booth, Maria tried to focus on the cheerful banter around her. Grant's enthusiasm was infectious. He spoke animatedly about the things they could do together, exploring hiking trails, trying new restaurants, and events that sparked excitement in the community. She felt compelled to lean into his energy, but a part of her resisted. "Maria, what about you?" Grant directly turned to her, waiting for her input. "What do you want to do next?" Her heart raced. Shouldn't his interests be enough? But suddenly, she craved authenticity rather than mere surface-level adventures. I want to find ways to make our community better," she found herself saying, surprising even herself. "To uplift the people around us. It's something I'm really passionate about." Grant paused for a moment, eyes narrowing as if assessing her sincerity. "Great. That actually aligns with a lot of events I'm involved in. It's important to give back." For a moment, hope sparked joy, a fleeting sense that Grant could understand, but then doubt whispered at the edges of her thoughts. Where was Jake? The group continued discussing plans, the noise swirling around her, but soon Maria felt eager to escape the chatter. "Excuse me, I need to step outside for a moment," she said, rising from her seat, unwittingly drawing Grant's attention. In the cool night air, she stepped away from the cafe, leaning against the wall. A scattering of stars twinkled above her, illuminating her thoughts. Suddenly she felt the isolation desiring her. Was this truly the adventure she wanted? Or was she merely avoiding the heartache back at the community center? "Maria?" The familiar voice pulled her from her spiraling thoughts. She turned, and there was Jake, appearing as steadfast as always. "Hey," she whispered, the warmth of his presence felt like sunlight breaking through a cold morning. Her heart fluttered. "I didn't expect to see you here. I saw you at the auction tonight." He stepped closer, that familiar concern etched on his face. "You were incredible up there." She buried her face in her hands for a moment, feeling the weight of everything crashing over her. "Thank you, but I messed things up. I don't want to chase just a thrill when I know what matters deeply to me." His eyes locked onto hers, the intensity resonating through her. "Adventure is great, but it's not everything. You've got something special inside you, your passion for the community, for your family. That is real." Emotions surged within her, threatening to spill over as recognition shone between them like fireflies caught in a summer night. "But I feel tangled," she admitted, brushing a strand of hair away from her face. "Like I can't find a place where I belong." His expression softened as he reached out, tucking away a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "You do belong. Right where you are." Suddenly, the world shrank to just the two of them. The noise faded away, time standing still for once, leaving clarity in the stillness. I don't want to lose what we have, but I also want to explore, she said. I understand. Exploring doesn't have to mean losing what truly matters, he replied, sincere warmth radiating from him. Take your time, but remember you don't have to face everything alone. A glimmer of hope ignited. Maria looked into Jake's eyes, realizing every moment she had embraced his presence had brought her alive. Adventure didn't have to mean losing what was real. And she could hold on to both possibilities without sacrificing her truth. Thank you, Jake, she said softly, wanting more than ever to bridge the gaps that had formed between them. I think I'm ready to be honest about everything. Jake took a step closer, his smile gentle. Be yourself. That's all you need. With a newfound determination, she turned toward the cafe, ready to embrace authenticity. What if her adventures could coexist with the true connection she craved? The excitement of the night had only just begun. As they re-entered the bustling cafe, Maria felt a lightness within her. The room was full of laughter, the air alive with possibility. They could move forward together, learn together, and create a shared journey through the winding pathways of life. And with Jake by her side, for the first time, Maria felt ready to embrace whatever awaited her, not as a shadow of herself, but as the brilliant, passionate woman she was destined to become. This was not just the end or a beginning, it was a new chapter, one that would overflow with hope, connection, and adventure as she took that leap into the unknown. If you've loved this story, now is the time to show your support. Don't hesitate, subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss more exclusive tales like this one. Hit that like button right now. Your support feeds the algorithm and keeps these stories alive. We want to hear from you. Leave a comment below with your thoughts or feelings about this ending, your voice matters. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand how vital your support is for the community. Let us spread these stories together.